Warriors would love for everyone to frame it this way. Last night, the story was Jordan Poole and Kuminga. And, well, primarily those two guys. But also you got Wiseman had some decent moments and Moses Moody as well. But that was a glimpse into the Warrior future. We saw Poole and Kuminga, two foundational pieces going forward. Well, why not? Last night, fourth quarter, those two combined to make 7 of 9 shots for 16 points. That's in the fourth quarter. That's in, as Magic used to say, winning time. And I know as much as you love and appreciate and understand basketball, you will especially be singing the praises of Jonathan Kuminga at what I call the defensive end.
He was amazing.
He was.
Just all game long. But then in crunch time, winning time, as you called it, I'm going to say you coined that.
Thank you.
Winning time, as Magic Johnson stole from you. He was being impactful more on that end. Comes up with the big steal. Came up with a couple of rebounds that were just force of will rebounds. Like he's big, fast, strong, like all of the like physical tools that you love to see in a top prospect were just on display and impacting the game in a big moment, which is the most substantial thing to me here. The Warriors took a real step last night because we've seen them lose this exact game, half a dozen, 10 times this year?
Yeah.
Where, hey, they have a lead. Okay, they blew it, but hey, it's still in control late. Like it's a close game, but there's 4 minutes left. And they haven't been able to close, Steph or no Steph. And so to last night, blow this big lead, you get the Hornets coming back to tie it, but then it's Jonathan Kuminga and Jordan Poole taking over late to put that game away. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. People jeer when a basketball player shoots an air ball, especially if it's like a free throw. But I've thought a lot about what's the most embarrassing moment for a basketball player, having experienced some, at a lower level. And yeah, if you get your shot blocked, people go, ooh, but typically it's out of bounds. It's still our ball. Right. To me, the most humiliating thing is when you're in the open court and a guy just picks you clean, picks your pocket, steals your dribble, and goes the other way. Perhaps even more embarrassing than that is what Jonathan Kuminga did last night to P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington has the ball in the corner, triple threat position, and Kuminga just said, give me that, and just takes the ball right out of his hands. That's mine.
I'm sure I've seen that before, but I feel like I'm going to say I've never seen that. I can't recall a time that I've seen a player in the position of like, okay, this is
triple
just,
threat. Here you go.
You get in this spot so they can't get the ball.
Right.
That's the purpose of this position. And Kuminga just went, no, that's mine now. And the ball's going this way.
Yep.
It was just an unbelievable moment and it felt like watching it is in a vacuum, a 5-point win over the Hornets. Super impressive. Not particularly, especially when you were up 18.
Mm-hmm.
But watching Jonathan Kuminga just kind of say, and we've seen Steph do this, we've seen Draymond do this, we've seen Clay do it. Jonathan Kuminga last night, and to a little bit lesser extent, Jordan Poole, but just kind of went, we're not losing. We're not losing this game. Here's an extra possession. Here's an extra possession. We need a bucket. Okay, get me on the block. I'm going to back this guy down, spin around, dunk. Like, it felt like I said, while watching it, it felt like, okay, this is a moment. Like, at the end of this season, when Jonathan Kuminga is in the playoff rotation, it's going to be like, hey, remember that game against Charlotte? That was, I think, where the light bulb went off for him.
Kind of need that with Steph out, huh? Kind of need players to impose their will. This is the Morning Roast. It's Whitey and Kyle in for Bonta and Butch, brought to you by Boxer & Gerson, Northern California's premier workers' compensation law firm, helping injured workers get their lives back for more than 40 years. Steph's still injured. By the way, Andrew Wiggins, he's injured, but Coach Kerr said last night Wiggins wasn't there because he's sick. So maybe once he recovers from whatever illness he's dealing with, maybe then he'll get back on the floor. But last night, Jonathan Kuminga, imposing his will. And it wasn't until very recently that it looked like he was even capable of doing that for long stretches. And we know that going back to last year, the Warriors would play Kuminga, and Steve Kerr would say, he's going to play a lot now. He's going to start. Then what happened? He's not starting. So in and out, struggling with this, with that. This year, he's been showing signs that he is understanding how he can fit his skills and what he wants to do into the Warrior offense. And then I think, one game you can't say for sure. it looked last night like he's gotten to the next level, which is, all right, I know what I'm doing now, and I'm going to, rather than trying to figure out what I'm doing, I'm going to impose my will and our will on you, Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, and you mentioned Steph being out, and I think Curry's injury, assuming he comes back okay and is healthy moving forward, might be a little bit of a blessing in disguise for the Warriors because it's forcing them to play.
What?
Yeah, man. Because it's forcing them to play.
Hot take Harry over there.
I know. What do you know?
No, I get you. I understand.
Some of these guys that are going to need to be in a playoff rotation, they're getting real minutes. And that kind of stuff matters. Not having Steph to just lean on and be like, okay, Steph, you go do it. Like, okay, we're going to stand around and watch number 30 because, like, you can't blame somebody if that's what they're doing. But it's forcing other players to step up in these spots. But I think Kuminga specifically is making up for the absence of a player like Andrew Wiggins, who can be that defensive stopper in a big spot, who can get you a bucket in a big spot, just a one-on-one bucket. They've been missing that, even with Wiggins early in this year. They were just missing that second guy.
Yeah, one thing that
another wing defender.
You're right, and I think one thing Kuminga's been bringing them that they really haven't had since Gary Payton last year. He has the ability and the willingness, which is in some ways more important, to guard somebody baseline to baseline.
Yes. He did it to John Morant. Mm-hmm. He did it to LaMelo Ball.
Oh, LaMelo last night, and he's a good player. And you saw the little chicken wing he gave Kuminga in the first half. Like, get off of me.
Yeah.
Get off of me.
Yeah.
It really affected him last night. And the officials allowed that, and that's then you, as the offensive player, you have to adjust to that. But that was a huge factor last night.
And that's something. So I'm trying to, because we're past Christmas now. So this is the point where,
true.
No, I took all my Christmas decorations down last night, by the way.
That's too early for that.
We have a little like New Year's shindig at our place.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to clean the house. And so to do that, we kind of have to remove decorations and stuff anyways. So they were all down, so we just put them away.
I don't like that. Nobody cares, but I don't like that because we always took down all the decorations on New Year's Day, and it was like, holidays are over, back to school tomorrow. This is not even really a holiday. Christmas is over. Go to bed early.
Well, that was my goal as well. Like, hey, we'll just I'm thinking mid-Jan. Like middle of January, when on one of the days the Niners aren't playing a playoff game, I'll go and do that.
Yeah.
I'll have football on in the background. We're like, but yeah, like I said, we got to clean up, and so it's just like this stuff's all down anyways. Just throw it back in the boxes.
All right,
and we got to go. Yeah, it's heartbreaking walking down the stars this morning though. I'm like, you know what? Tree's still up. The tree's still up for now.
All right,
but all my other decorations and stuff are down. It's fine. I'm okay. But with Kuminga, having a second player that they can just throw on a Ja Morant or a Jason Tatum or a Jaylen Brown or Devin Booker, and being confident that, hey, that guy can stop the ball at the point of attack. That guy can, like you said, baseline to baseline, he's going to just harass whoever he's guarding. That is such a substantial piece of what made the Warriors great. Just that defensive intensity and being able to lock up your best player, your two best players with Iguodala, and it was Draymond Green, and for a while it was Harrison Barnes, and then Kevin Durant. Like, it was just defense everywhere, and that leads to the offense. If Jonathan Kuminga is going to be defensively what he's been the last couple games, like long term, when you start projecting that out into March, April, that matters. I can't quantify how much that's going to mean to the Warriors.
You know how there's a lot of talk always in basketball of rim protectors. I think it's one of the most overused terms. And I know it's important, but rim protectors, you need a rim protector. Sometimes people talk about rim protectors like it's soccer, where you just need a 7'6" guy to stand back there and protect the rim. It's like, no.
It's not how the game works.
You can't do that. But to me, the best rim protectors are the guards in the wings, and maybe Kuminga is one of those guys who can keep the ball out of the paint in the first place.
Right.
That is really effective rim protection.
Yes.
Where the other team can't get the ball anywhere near the rim.
Yes.
That's rim protection that matters, rather than, he blocked a shot. That's great.
Yeah. The idea, and especially just with offenses now, and with being able to drive and kick, and your center has to move. Your center can't hang out by the block and just
they spread you out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't just step down and go, okay, I can time this. And there are guys who are good at Rudy Gobert's on DPOYs off of it, but That's Rudy Gobert. Like, that's the only thing he can do. So,
and he struggled with it too. There's a piece today at NBA.com. Whatever happened to Rudy Gobert?
well, remember they lost the playoff series because Reggie Jackson was just getting into his body at the rim.
Yeah, and the Warriors did that to him
will.
and the Jazz all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
So I'm right there with you, man. It's like it's a little bit akin to like having a really good pass rush, and just
very much so.
Like you'd love to have a corner that's like lockdown, but you can't cover for 6 seconds.
Oh, I agree with you. Pressure on the basketball.
Right.
Pressure on the ball, which is something Celtics did to the Warriors in this finals last year early and had a lot of success. It's very much like a pass rush.
Well, and that's what the Warriors wound up doing to the Celtics. I went into that series saying, who's going to dribble for the Celtics? Who could? And nobody could.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can force guys who are uncomfortable, well, like imagine Klay Thompson being forced to be like a initiator of the offense. And putting the ball on the deck.
Do it.
Like, he can't.
Can't do it.
That's just not his game. For all the things he's great at, that's not something
and that's
he's
not
always
a
been
criticism of Klay. You're making a larger point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can force a player like that to be running a team's offense because John Morant and Desmond Bane are just kind of being locked up by Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, like that makes defending them so much easier.
By the way, and we'll talk more about this today, but Memphis, I don't know, their mojo is gone. You know, after they got humiliated here, they go home last night, play Phoenix. They lost big time to a Suns team without Devin Booker. So I know they're not worried about anybody else in the West, but they better start worrying about other teams in the West.
Dylan Brooks said that he feels like they freeze up when people start talking back to them.
That's incredible.
That's a wild thing to say.
That really undercuts all the bravado, doesn't it? Dylan, keep that to yourself.
Like, don't
brother
say
man.
That. Brother man. Don't say that, and also don't say brother man.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
It was. I read that this morning and thought it was like a bit. Like I thought it was a joke. Like somebody was making. No, that was a thing that he said.
I wonder if there's a whole, that team is they're based on a lot of things the Spurs did. And the Spurs were all for one for all. Tim Duncan, one of the greatest players in the world, but, no ego. And Jaw's not like that. And I wonder sometimes if that's an issue on that team. But I digress. We'll talk more about the Grizzlies here coming up in just a bit. As far as Jonathan Kuminga goes, the steal on P.J. Washington. You don't see that very often. I can't think of the last time I saw, especially, key moment, crunch time, and one defender just going, here, give me that. That's mine. Jonathan Kuminga talked about that steal after the game last night.
I think I saw the ball. It was just exposing it. And just watching Andre, I think Andre used to do those type of steals. Like I said, at the moment, fourth quarter, I don't usually get to be in the game that moment. But if a coach trusts you and puts you in there at that moment, you just got to go and execute things and make things happen.
I'll say this. I don't know why every time one of the young Warriors does something, we have to say, he's just like that guy. Or he's just like, well, Wiseman's like a young David Robinson. Or Kuminga was like Andre Iguodala. I understand the point, but how about he's going to become a great defender in his own right.
Because I think the logical, like, point A to point B is, hey, how do the Warriors rekindle what they were doing in 2015?
Right.
And through that stretch of 5 years.
Makes people feel better in a way, huh?
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, when you're creating this Warriors finals team, who's going to be the Andre Iguodala? Okay, Jonathan Kuminga is that guy. Cool.
And I understand that, but that's my point. It's like, it doesn't work that way. You don't just play, Poole's going to be Steph. But I understand it, and it was very impressive last night.
Yeah,
right?
he's just going to be Steph.
Yeah, so we got our new Steph. Yeah.
We got our new Andre.
And let's not overlook the fact that at the offensive end, Kuminga last night, and I know, putbacks and dunks, 6 for 6, 22 minutes, took 6 shots, made them all. And he also had 6 rebounds and 2 assists. And to me, that's really where the Kuminga growth is shown. 2 areas, his willingness to defend and the fact that he now understands what he's doing. But as a passer, he's really improved. And in this offense, that's huge.
Yes. Just knowing where to go. Where to go with the basketball and when. And not just dribbling the air out of it.
He passes the ball like it's like Andrew Bogut. We don't need to do that. I just know that's what people like to do now.
Yeah, and it's not like he's going to go be a point guard and average, 10 a game. He's not going to turn into John Stockton. But can you make that one extra pass? when he drives and 3 defenders collapse on him and Moses Moody's standing in the corner, can you just get that kick out? And to your point, I think he's gotten a lot better at that. 12 minutes, played all 12 minutes in the fourth quarter last night.
Yeah.
4 for 4, 3 boards, an assist. That steal we just talked about, he had 8 points. It was a -7 in the quarter.
Yeah.
What a weird stat.
I don't put a lot of stock in that.
What a weird stat.
Game to game. And I think the reason is because way back when, like my first year of high school basketball, I didn't know what plus minus was, Kyle. And I'm in the locker room there, getting ready for practice or whatever. And the coach had on the window of his office, he had plus minus. And we'd played one game and we lost. I think we lost to Richmond. And I look and it said Gleason, blah, 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 -5. And I didn't know what all that meant. I was just crushed. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm a -5? What? I didn't even know what it meant. But I felt like, oh, man.
I lost 5 coach points.
Am I even going to be on the team anymore? So it can, be a little misleading game to game. How about this on the Xfinity Mobile text line, 888-957-9570. Clay and Poole show, putting it on the Hornets for another W. Yeah, right now you can't nitpick, right? Without Steph, a win is a win is a win is a win. And that was a huge win.
Yeah. And I didn't notice this until just now because it was Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole down the stretch. Those 2 guys went 7 of 9 combined from the floor.
Right.
The rest of the team was 2 for 11. I did not even register that the rest of the team
fourth
was
quarter, right?
2 for 11 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they still figured out a way to win because they leaned on the 2 young guys. That is like if you're painting the ideal victory for the Warriors right now in this moment without Steph and Wiggins, that's kind of it. Like, man, it was tight down the stretch, and in that spot where they've blown a lot of games this year, they pulled it out thanks to Kuminga and Poole.
Yeah, I think also to win without Steph, you need strength in numbers and a balanced attack. Last night wasn't very balanced, but you did have a number of guys contributing, and Kuminga had 14, and Looney had 11, Draymond had 9, but you had 29 from Clay last night, 29 from Clay on 22 shots, and Jordan Poole had 24 points, 9 of 20 shooting. Yesterday, a gentleman called, and it was Coach in Vallejo, and I always love talking to Coach, but he made a point to you and I, Kyle, about Jordan Poole, and he said, look, Jordan Poole's not an efficient scorer. They'd be better off letting other players take his shots. And when Poole is not playing well, that's an interesting point. I understand that, and I think that's part of his growth. But last night we saw why when Poole is struggling, you leave him out there and hope that he finds it, because in the fourth quarter, he was an offensive force.